pleased to learn that we are in the people's house, we are in your house. And so often, sometimes us as immigrants, sometimes we feel left out of the political movement, but we are working to change that here in Massachusetts, and we have done with the leadership of Speaker of the House, with the governor that we have. We're able to pass policies that are impacting all of us and the immigrant community. Before I introduce our speaker, I want to talk a little bit about my story. As an immigrant, I came here and I recall seeing a picture. My mom is moving and I was looking for old pictures, and I recall seeing a picture of her and myself walking in front of the State House when I first arrived here in Massachusetts. It was January of 2021, and I never imagined that someday I would be serving here as a representative in this house. I went to Acton Boxborough Regional High School, and coming here at the age of 14 and not knowing the language, the culture, and having to assimilate, it certainly is a challenge for the first couple of years. And being able to go to Middlesex Community College, get an associate degree, move on to a higher degree, and we knew that education was the only way or the path for success. I graduated in 2013 from UMass Amherst with a degree in political science. And the backbone of all these instruments, it was my mother, who was a teacher back in Brazil. And her life story certainly has played a role on her children. With that, I also want to recognize and say that when I was in high school, I met Sena who was a representative then. Where's Sena? I don't know if he's here somewhere. And I felt that he was the right person for the job then, and I continue to do. Now I was able to, after graduating college, for 6 years as his district director, and then decided to run for office when there was an open seat. And in June of 2020, I became the first Brazilian American elected to the House. I would like to now maybe welcome the executive director from MIRA, and I will say this because MIRA I was able to go to DC with MIRA when I was in high school, lobby for the DREAM Act, and then later on receiving DACA. For me, it was a mission accomplished that we lobby our federal government to pass bills that would benefit all of us. Now I would like to invite Liz Sweet, our executive director of MIRA. Please welcome.
Thank you so much. And I actually really want to encourage everyone over here that we do have seats open on this side. So please, let's take a moment and try to move into the room a little bit because we understand there's some more people still arriving. Come on over. All right, we have a few people who are not shy. Thank you. Okay. So, good morning and welcome to the 27th annual Immigrants Day at the State House. Woo! We are really thrilled to have such an incredible turnout. It's just wonderful to look out and see so many friends and partners and allies here with us today. Thank you, everyone, for being here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Elizabeth Sweet. I'm the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Immigrant and Refugee Advocacy Coalition, or MIRA. I'm really proud to lead such an incredible team who's put this event today together, and we really look forward to the entire event. I want to thank, though, also all of the member organizations, the immigrants, everyone who's here today, because this event is about a whole community. It's not just about one person, it's not just about one organization, it's about all of us. MIRA's mission, our vision, is of a Commonwealth and a nation where all can thrive, no matter where they came from or how they got here. And all can fully participate in their community's social, economic, and civic life. And together, we advance that vision as we come together to participate civically by engaging with our state leaders here in the State House. We will have a great program this morning, and then, of course, turn over to your meetings with your representatives. Today we come together to celebrate new beginnings with a new legislative session, new possibilities to move forward for a pro-immigrant agenda here in Massachusetts. And now it is my pleasure to introduce a true friend to immigrants and refugees who, as Attorney General, advocated for fair treatment of immigrants and refugees, and a person whose leadership is part of the new beginnings that we're here to celebrate. Here to give our keynote today, we welcome Governor Maura Healey.
Liz and the entire team at MIRA for the work you do in helping to obviously put this event together, but really the important advocacy and work that you do throughout the year. And we are grateful to you and the team for that. And I am also delighted to be here joined by your fabulous Lieutenant Governor, Kim Driscoll. So Kim, stand. As mayor of Salem, Kim Driscoll was a champion for our immigrant communities and understands the importance of our immigrant communities, what they do in terms of the fabric of our communities, the economic growth and development of our communities, and how we in government can partner and work with and support and grow together. And so you could not have a better champion, and I couldn't have a better teammate than our Lieutenant Governor, Kim Driscoll. And also want to acknowledge Marconi Almeida Barros, who I have asked. You all know him, right? Marconi?
Attorney General's office, and he's come on over. He's helping our team. He's the deputy chief for access and opportunity, and I know will continue the good work. So Marconi, great to see you this morning. I see that you have two champions in our administration on our team who see you, who know you, who believe in you, and will be there for you. I'm grateful to be here today, joined by our fantastic speaker, Mariano.
Nothing happens without the work of the legislature, and on so many fronts, especially this year as we celebrate the success of the Work and Family Mobility Act. I thank Speaker Mariano and thank members of the legislature for their continued advocacy and support for immigrant communities all across the state. And I know that the Speaker and the legislature are very, very proud of you, Representative. Very proud to have you out and telling your story and showing what's possible. This This is a wonderful event. I always loved coming as your Attorney General. I now love coming as your Governor. And I love it because it's such a celebration of the important contributions of our immigrant communities, our wonderfully diverse immigrant communities that have come to Massachusetts for so many years, contributing in so many ways. It's an opportunity to acknowledge the work of the MIRA Coalition and the work it does to support people in so many ways, guiding folks through the citizenship process, connecting families with critical resources for food, housing assistance, advocating for policies that make our states stronger. I'm grateful to the work that all of you did, that some of us were doing in partnership with you, whether it was protecting the rights of dreamers, standing up for TPS holders and international students who were under attacks by a prior administration and the federal government, fighting back against cruel, xenophobic policies, improving language access across the office, creating an advisory on new Americans, and working to educate, particularly through COVID, working to educate and make sure that there was outreach, right, to some of our most vulnerable communities, including immigrant communities. So I just want to thank you for your incredible work and partnership, and you probably want to know what's ahead, right? What are we going to do for you? Well, we put forward some budget proposals, and I'm grateful to the legislature for the work that they have already done in helping to secure some assistance and protection for folks when it comes to things like food security right now in this time. We've also put forward strong proposals on housing. We need to grow housing around this state. People need a place to live. They can't afford rent. They can't afford to buy a new home. So know that the Lieutenant Governor and I are very intent on, should the legislature allow, a Secretary of Housing and Livable Communities working directly with all of you to make sure that we are making housing more affordable, more available all around this state. We're working to support you when it comes to food security, extending SNAP benefits and the like. All of these things, just the basics, the foundations that will help families get to where they need to go. And we're really committed to that partnership. So, basically, I just want to tell you that we love you and we see you. And while these are challenging times, and unfortunately there are some across the country that use issues related to immigrant communities for their own political gain, we understand and know what's really going on. And that's why you will always, always have our support. We are excited to work with you, and we are excited to see you back in this building again and again. And I think, knowing the LG and me, we're excited, more than excited, to be out visiting you in your communities, thinking about economic development, economic empowerment, how we can meet families where they are. So many thanks to MIRA, the coalition, and to Liz. Have a wonderful day here in the State House.
Thank you, Governor Healey. I want to invite now the next speaker of the House. I have the honor to serve with Speaker Mariano now for 2 to 3 years now, as 2 to 3 terms. And I will tell one thing about Speaker Mariano. When he committed to bring the Work and Family Mobility Act to the floor, I knew it was going to pass, because he has a leadership style that I'm very, very envious of, and I want to certainly appreciate all your work, Mr. Speaker. So please come to the podium, and please a round of applause for Mr. Speaker.
Thanks, Dan. It is good to see everybody here. Standing room only. This never happens to me, unless I call it and make the reps come in. But I am thrilled to be here in front of you today for a couple of reasons. Probably the one that hasn't been talked about enough today, and for my mind will never be talked about enough, is the job that we did in the House on redistricting. We created 13 new seats that have minority majorities. The class that came in this this year is the most diverse class I've seen, and I've been here a long time. I came with John Hancock and a few of the other guys, and we put this whole thing together, and it seems to be working. I want to say that those of you who know me know that sometimes I can be a little bristly, and I think back to the first time the MIRA coalition came in to see me, and they had a whole bunch of stats that really made no sense, and I told them so. And we parted with a little bit of a disagreement. And I said, you come back to me with 4 or 5 groups that want to work, that want to get out and talk to people, get out of the cities and get to the suburbs. Sell this as a public safety issue. We know how important immigrants are to our workforce. Let's hammer that point home. Let's make everyone aware of the fact that you're contributing to the economy. You're the folks that are going to work every day. And much to my surprise, because this doesn't happen very often, the folks that came back, group of 4, went out and worked their tail off. They came back to me with names that I never thought they would reach and convince. And that's when I decided we can do this. We can do this, because I wasn't going to do it because I knew the governor was going to veto it. And I wasn't going to waste your energy and my members put in a crosshairs of a vote that in some districts would be a difficult vote. When he vetoed it, then I really get a little angry. But again, working with all of you, and it is all of you that put a face on this, that make this whole proposal real, and make it very, very important to our members. And you do it by being here today. So when that vote came in, I was pretty happy. And every once in a while, it's good. No offense, Governor, but it's good to take on the governor once in a while, especially if you're going to win. And our wins were few and far between. But I think we won't have those battles this time. We have a governor who's in tune with what we need to do for you as we move forward. I think that no one has to explain the issues to her. She's worked on these issues longer than I have. But I'm just proud to be here today. I am excited to be here. I'm proud of what we did. Extremely proud of what we did. And I'm proud of you folks. First of all, my own members don't listen to me that much, so when you guys listened and responded, I was quite touched. But it worked. It worked, and it worked because of your hard work. I just put the plan together. You guys worked it, and I toast your success. That's why I'm here. I wouldn't have missed this for the world. It validates a lot of the decisions I make that go unvalidated. They're little victories for me, sometimes little losses. But this is an exciting moment for me to see it come to reality. And all of you who worked on it deserve all the credit. And so I really do applaud and take my hat off to you. So I had a speech. I'm not going to read the speech. It's a waste of time. Waste of paper. But I do wanted to just say thank you to all of you, and hopefully I'll be back here next year. We'll celebrate something new.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I now would like to invite to the podium Amy Grander and the Policy Director, and Jonathan Paz to say a few words.
How's everybody doing out there? So yes, I'm Amy Grunder. I direct MIRA's state policy and legislative affairs. A lot of you know me. If you don't, you will. And I'd like to introduce also another person many of you know, Jonathan Pass, who is MIRA's new policy advocate, who joined MIRA at the beginning of this legislative session and has really hit the ground running. We're about to continue with our speaking program in just a minute, but right now, Jonathan and I would like to invite you to join us in recognizing the very special legislators who are sponsors of MIRA's 6 bill priorities this legislative session. We recognize them for their ongoing commitment to their immigrant and refugee constituents and for their persistence and their faith in the process, filing these bills each session after session, and working with us to get them passed. It can take years sometimes 20 years, but they don't give up, and we don't give up either. So, without further ado, please join us in welcoming our sponsors, this year's sponsors, to the podium. So first, Representative Adrian Maduro of East Boston, if you're here, please come join us. He made it in today from East Boston. He is lead House sponsor of the Language Access and Inclusion Act and co-lead sponsor of the Tuition Equity Act, together with House Majority Leader Mike Moran. Representative Carlos Gonzalez of Springfield, House co-lead sponsor of the Language Access and Inclusion Act. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. We'd also like to welcome, We'd love to welcome Senator Creighton, who's the lead Senate sponsor of the Upstream Raft Act and the Tuition Equity Act, together with the co-filer with Senator Liz Miranda. Most of our Senate sponsors are unable to join us this morning because of a scheduled training with the Senate President. I also would like to take the pleasure to also welcome to the stage my former boss, Senator Eldridge, who's the lead in the Senate for this. Oh, he's still stuck up there. Yeah, he's still stuck. Okay. Senator Creighton here is breaking all the rules. Thank you. I also would like to welcome Representative Manny Cruz of Salem. For his as a co-lead sponsor of the Safe Communities Act, keeping the torch alive. And last but not least.
Okay. Also, Representative Dave Rogers of Belmont. Are you still here? Yeah, here he is. Great. He is the lead House sponsor of the Cover All Kids Act, together with lead Senate sponsor Sal DiDomenico, who is not able to be here today. And last but certainly not least, Representative Jack Lewis of Framingham. There he is, lead House sponsor of the Physician Pathway Act, together with lead sponsor Representative Mindy Dahm. Is Representative Dahm in the House? And here's Senator Eldridge. Go ahead. Okay, that's it. So big hand. All of these people work very hard. Here is Representative Mindy Dahm. Thank you for joining us. Come on up. Please give these folks a big hand for working to pass the legislation that you're all here to advocate for. And thank you all of you for your incredible and ongoing commitment to immigrant and refugee communities, really from the bottom of all of our collective hearts. Thank you. Over to you, Representative.
Our next speaker is an internationally trained physician from Harvard, T.H. Chin School of Public Health.
Hello everyone. Thanks for being here today. I'm Dr. Maura, and I stand before you today as a national trained physician who served at the U.S. Armed Forces in Iraq. And I'm proud to be here as a refugee, a career coach, a case manager, a community health leader at COVID vaccine ambassador team. As we gather here today, Massachusetts is facing a severe shortage of physicians, especially in primary care. According to a recent report by Massachusetts Medical Society, 25% of surveyed physicians are planning to leave medicine in the next 2 years. This is where the Physician Pathway Act comes in. It's a new bill before the state legislature that would provide streamlined to licensure for internationally trained physicians in exchange for providing medical care in areas of greatest need. But let me tell you something. The current system is designed to recent medical graduates seeking postgraduate training in the U.S. Not for like practicing physicians with years of trainings like me. We are not recent medical graduates. Many of us are refugees and others are immigrants, persecution and political turmoil in our home countries. And we come here without professional and personal connections, and sometimes with not even financial resources. As for me, I had to navigate through a biased system, overcoming challenging barriers to information, undertaking unpaid trainings, expensive licensing examinations, only to find that a pathway to full licensure was not available. And yet, I'm persevered. I found alternative work as a career coach at Jewish Vocational Services, and case manager at Catholic Charities, and community leader at COVID vaccine ambassador team, where my team and I put all the effort, enduring the snow and rain, to provide a safe environment to our community in Revere. I did everything I could to put my talents and year of training to good use. But I can't practice medicine here, and I'm not alone. There are hundreds of physicians in Massachusetts with similar experience, working outside medical field who want nothing more than to practice the profession for which we trained. International physicians are a hidden power, a great resource to fill a gap in our healthcare system. The Physician Pathway Act would require us to provide medical care in underserved residents of the state, leveraging our expertise, sharing our stories and journey with them. We can build and trust, lower the load on hospitals, and this is a really important thing. And ensuring that serious cases in hospital receive a better care. Because let's face it, if you visit an emergency department, the majority of patients there are non-emergency cases. They have no choice but to seek medical attention at the emergency department. They wait for months to get checked by their primary care physician. Their concerns are valid, but the emergency department is not the place for them. Ladies and gentlemen, the Massachusetts Medical Society and American Medical Association have both called for state action to reduce barriers to licensure for internationally trained physicians. I urge you all to join me in advocating for this bill. Together, we can ensure that everyone has access to quality care, health care in Massachusetts. Thank you, everyone.
I have a couple messages here. So Representative Silva is here, Representative Maura is here, and Representative Vargas is also arrived here. So I want to thank them for coming. Thank you, Dr. Mariano, for that, for your speech and your comments. I now would like to welcome to the podium Brenda Romero of Black Collaborativa.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Brenda Romero. He vivido en Chelsea desde que emigré a los Estados Unidos. He crecido con mi familia aquí y considero a Chelsea como mi hogar. En el año 2020 estaba embarazada de mi tercera hija cuando comenzó la pandemia. Yo trabajaba en limpieza de apartamentos cuando empezaron a cerrar los negocios y me quedé sin trabajo. Y mi bebé nació en febrero. Mi esposo en ese momento era el único que proveía el salario para mi familia. Ahora me preocupaba, en ese momento me preocupaba mucho que habíamos que hacer con una bebé recién nacida, 2 hijas más y en plena pandemia. Tenía miedo de que mi marido perdiera su trabajo. Todas esas dudas me dejaban inquieta, no me dejaban dormir. Me sentía decaída y triste y muy preocupada por el futuro de mis hijas. Un ex compañero de trabajo me comentó que era elegible para pedir el beneficio de desempleo del Estado. Y como después vi en las noticias que anunciaron el fondo de ayuda del gobierno para el desempleo. Fue en marzo cuando empezaron a anunciar de esa ayuda de desempleo del 2020. Estaba feliz porque tenía esa ayuda para mí y mi familia. Marqué al número indicado, pero no me contestaron. Luego logré contactar, pero solo hablaban inglés. Me dejaron por 6 horas en la línea. Fui muy paciente, no pude obtener la ayuda. Perdón. Luego tuve la segunda opción de buscar en las páginas de internet, en sitios web, pero corrí con la misma suerte, digo, sería suerte o mala suerte, que solo en inglés tenía la información. Con el ingreso de mi esposo no podíamos cubrir la renta, ya solo nos quedaban para cubrir lo que era la renta, reducimos lo que era el pago de los biles, no podíamos mantener como abastecida nuestra nevera con los snacks de nuestras hijas, no podíamos complacer sus caprichitos como de tener todos sus snacks como estaban acostumbradas. Unos días después me enteré que en el City Hall de Chelsea estaban ayudando, dando cajas de comida. Decidí irme a formar para poder llevar alimentos extra a mi casa, los cuales no teníamos. Me arriesgué a contagiarme porque estábamos en una plena pandemia, no sabíamos ni cómo estaba ese virus, no sabíamos nada de eso, estábamos ignorantes en ese sistema. Me arriesgué a contraer ese virus, contagiar a mis niñas, tenía una bebé apenas de 2 meses. Fue una situación muy crítica y dura para mí y mi familia. En eso yo conocí, me propusieron que si quería ser voluntaria para el City Hall, para poder ayudar a repartir las cajas de comida. Y con eso tenía el derecho de llevar más alimentos para mi hogar. Por medio de ellos conocí a la colaborativa, que hoy en día estoy súper agradecida con la colaborativa, donde tiene bilingüe. Me sentí en casa, me sentí en hogar. Atrasada, que me llegó una carta de desconexión de mis utilidades a la falta de pago, al retrasarme. La colaborativa es una organización bilingüe donde tienen personal bilingüe que nos sentimos en hogar porque lastimosamente o afortunadamente somos una comunidad latina. Y la desesperación y el miedo que sentía en esos meses eran horribles. Digo yo, ¿cuántos niños se han quedado en otros idiomas? Es por eso que hoy estoy aquí frente a ustedes para invitar a apoyar a las campañas del acceso al idioma y alimentar a nuestros vecinos. Muchos inmigrantes legales que tienen TPS, casos de asilos pendientes, beneficiarios de DACA, etcétera, tienen dificultades para obtener beneficios en efectivo o cupones de alimentos. Veo las líneas de la despensa de alimentos de la colaborativa creciendo y creciendo porque los precios de los comestibles están subiendo. Necesitamos tener una mejor habilidad para la asistencia alimenticia y los beneficios en efectivo. Me temo que pronto tendremos otra pandemia de inseguridad. Luchemos juntos para apoyar a la comunidad inmigrante y a nuestros vecinos. Estas dos iniciativas son muy importantes porque lo que está luchando me impacta a mí y a otras familias inmigrantes por no saber el idioma. Esta es la realidad de nuestra comunidad y lo que estamos pidiendo es una necesidad. Debemos de unirlos como comunidad latina para lo que estamos pasando. Gracias. Me quedo aquí.
Adiós. Good morning, everyone. How's it going? I'm going to do the translation of my co-worker, Brenda. Good morning. My name is Brenda Romero, and I am originally from Honduras. I immigrated to the United States 9 years ago. I am grateful for the opportunity I have today to be able to speak with you in front of you all and share my story with you. I live in Chelsea, and I have lived there for over 9 years since I immigrated to the United States. I have raised my family here in Massachusetts, and I call Chelsea my home. At the beginning of 2020, I was pregnant, expecting my third daughter when the pandemic began. I used to work cleaning apartments, and when the pandemic began, I had a job. My baby was born a few weeks later. I was jobless. My husband was the only one who had provided our family for over 5. I was worried of what we were going to do with a newborn and 2 other girls. What happened if my husband had lost his job? All those doubts and questions had kept us from sleeping at night. I felt down, sad, worried, and about my daughters. One of the work colleagues told me that I was eligible to apply for state unemployment benefits, and shortly after, I still remember it clearly, in March of 2020. The news announced the government relief fund for the unemployment. I was so happy. I thought that everyone was going to be fine. We were going to receive help and to be happy. I thought that everything was going to be, I this job, we couldn't have money to pay rent or for food. For months, we couldn't pay our bills, receive a utility shutdown notice, and was forced to limit food. I still remember my daughter's sad faces when we couldn't buy expenses of milk and diapers and food. We would not be able to survive much longer with only my husband's income. It soon became limited as well. I had never felt so lost in my life. I was afraid of not having food for my family, my daughter, and couldn't. The language was still at the barrier for me. I felt angry at myself for not to speak English. Seeing that I had no solution, I decided to help as a volunteer at the City Hall, risking myself on services provided by the state that were not available to the people like us who do not speak perfect. I am not the only one here and there. Prices are going a lot up. We need to have better accessibility for food assistance and cash benefits. I am afraid that we will soon have another pandemic of insecurity. Let's fight together and support the immigrant community and our neighbors. These 2 initiatives are very important to me because we are fighting for our impact
thank you, Brandon, for sharing your story. Certainly, it's very moving, and thank you so much for being brave to share your story personally.
We have a few more reps here. Andy Vargas, which I think I've recognized already. Rep Souza. And one more. Maura. Next. We don't have that many more speakers, and we're coming down almost to the end of the program, but we have tonight's stories, inspiring movement from Christian Duval Solis.
Science teacher would sometimes take us to the small garden in the backyard, and using my little tiny magnifying glass, you know, from the end of 5th grade, I could see all the things around me. Whether that be the petals on a tulip, the ants walking along the soil, and even the dewdrop after morning rain had passed. In 9th grade, I got the chance to dissect a whole pig. While the experience to me was pretty nauseating and gross to say the least, I was also fascinated by the different organs inside the pig and how they all worked seamlessly together. In 12th grade, in my senior year, I had the chance to learn about environment science through various ways. I had the chance to try many fun activities that revolved around environment science, whether that be dressing up as like a specific biome or even using bubbles to imitate the parenting styles of different animals. Needless to say, I loved learning when I was growing up. However, once I reached my senior year, I started to think about how I could continue my learning through college. You see, I'm undocumented. What this meant for me is that I would be paying for public colleges and universities more than my documented colleagues. This put me in a bind. I already couldn't afford private school tuition rates, so having to pay out-of-state tuition rates for a public institution when I already lived in Boston for over a decade was a tough truth to deal with. During my senior year in 2020, quarantine began, and I made the tough decision to take gap years after high school while things cooled down, so I could reassess my options about pursuing higher education. My decision was made in part because of quarantine, but also because I couldn't afford college. It was at this time that I discovered stories inspiring movement. Joining their fellowship was one of the best decisions I made because workshops and vulnerable storytelling, I was able to realize my own power. That's why I'm here speaking today, so that others like me in this situation know that they have power, and that the only way we can harness that, we go together and fight for what is right. But that still begs the question, what about college? Well, because of my financial situation, my dreams are essentially put on hold. All the things I want to learn, to experience, to grow, they're on hold. This is my dream deferred. But I have to remind everyone here that it's not just me. Every year, thousands of undocumented students across Massachusetts can't go to public colleges and universities because they can't afford to pay out-of-state tuition rate. Please, thank you. Before me have tried to overcome this barrier. It was founded on the very basis that people, regardless of immigration status, should have access to higher education. SIM has
for 2 decades fighting for education equity, only to be disappointed by lawmakers who did not show up when we needed them the most. But it didn't end there. STEM kept fighting to bridge this educational gap by training on self-advocacy through their college journey and working directly with private institutions so they could develop undocumented-friendly policies.
We didn't give up because immigrant youth and families know the value of education and what it would mean for the future of our community. But even despite our best efforts, years later, college is still largely inaccessible to many undocumented students. And because of this, we are not only denied a path to higher education, but also to a better quality of life. So I ask you all, what now? It's at this time that I would like to extend my thanks to my organization, sorry, over there, and to the Brazilian Worker Center, and to Center Representative for sadly activism today. Together, we have formed the steering committee of the Massachusetts Tuition Equity Coalition, and today we are officially announcing the beginning of the Tuition Equity Campaign. The goal of this campaign is to pass the Tuition Equity Act that would grant undocumented youth and young people with instant tuition rates to public colleges and universities in Massachusetts, with the addition of being eligible to receive state financial aid. We are organizing young people from all over Massachusetts to share their stories and create the strategic and tactics necessary to pass the bill. We believe that in order to truly make change that matters, it requires the presence of those directly impacted to make the decisions necessary for that change. It requires me to share my story. It requires people like Maria, who's currently paying a private tuition rate out of pocket while simultaneously working because she couldn't afford public tuition rates. And it requires people like Ismelda, who decided to go straight to work after high school because she couldn't afford college. It requires all of us to share our stories and to speak our truth.
So, I ask all of you now, if you want to start making change, please call your local representative and tell them to support the tuition equity bill. And if you yourself are a legislator, remember that supporting this bill means opening more doors to students to higher education. And saying no to this bill means saying no to thousands of dreams for more and more years. And lastly, I would like to remind all the undocumented young people out there that can only come when we see it and we would decide to make it. Thank you.
Sena of Acton.
Good morning. I want to start off by wishing everyone who celebrates a Ramadan Mubarak. Thank you everyone, and thank you MIRA for fighting for immigrants and for inviting me on behalf of the Driving Families Forward Coalition to speak today about the success of making the Work and Family Mobility Act law. My name is Hiba Senhaj, and I'm the daughter of Moroccan immigrants. My father emigrated to Boston from Morocco in the early 90s, and my mother joined him shortly after. I work at First, a progressive political consulting firm that has helped coordinate and manage the Driving Families Forward Coalition since 2019. We won here at the State House, passing the bill into law, and then once again, defending it at the ballot box through the Yes on 4 campaign. Now, Massachusetts is the 17th state to have a law that will allow all qualified state residents, regardless of their immigration status, to get a license to drive. We won here in Michigan as they continue to be the next to pass driver's license legislation. Starting in July, immigrants without status over the age of 16 who have a valid consular ID or passport from their country and a few other basic documents will be able to apply for a standard Massachusetts driver's license and go through the same process as everyone else. It seems incredible. It seems incredible that at the last Immigrants' Day, the bill's future was still uncertain, though we had already come a long way just by passing the bill out of committee. The fight took decades on Beacon Hill, including the 2 legislative sessions that the Driving Families Forward Coalition fought for this bill. It started in 2019 with the discussion between the Brazilian Worker Center and 32BJ SEIU, both longtime backers of previous efforts. They brought in bill first to over 200 including MIRA and many others in this room, such as JALSA, ACLU, Cosecha, La Colaborativa, Pioneer Valley Workers Center, Haitian Americans United, the True Alliance Center, Merrimack Valley Project, Reach Beyond Domestic Violence, students from Martha's Vineyard Regional High School, and many more. Our success can't be pinned to one group, constituency, or stakeholder group. It was because of our broad coalition that encompassed impacted communities, law enforcement, faith leaders, businesses, insurance companies, municipal leaders across the state, advocacy organizations, and healthcare and public health organizations. We thank Governor Maura Healey for her support as Attorney General, Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll for her support as Mayor of Salem, Senate President Karen Spilka, House Speaker Ron Mariano, our dedicated lead sponsors, Senators Brendan Crichton and Adam Gomez, and Representatives Christine Barber and Tricia Farley-Bouvier for all their leadership. We learned many things in the 2 legislative sessions leading up to our victory that included keeping the momentum alive to show the broad support and urgency of passing driver's licenses legislation by creating moment after moment that kept our issue at the forefront.
This included direct lobbying, lobby days, weekly phone banks, daily phone banks, constituent postcards to legislators, various legislator briefings that highlighted our key stakeholders, rallies, marches, online and in-person action, robust social media presence that we were able to communicate and update supporters, as well as a really strong earned media program that consistently put out week after week supportive news articles in support of our bill from across Massachusetts. Another lesson learned as a coalition was the importance of strong messaging to the broader public. For the Driving Families Forward Coalition, our key message was public safety across all iterations of the campaign. That means that safety for all motorists on the road and the safety of immigrants who risk it all if they needed to drive. The lived experience in sharing the stories of impacted individuals alongside supporting stakeholders across all sectors harmoniously connected that central message of public safety, which was instrumental in successful co-sponsorship drives and a veto-proof majority of support in the House and Senate. Overall, we learned a lot and were reminded that when we come together and fight, we win. And we did that twice. Immigrants not only won here at the State House with a successful package of the Work and Family Mobility Act, but we also won across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts on the ballot. We collectively made that happen. This is only the beginning, and it starts with all of us here on Immigrants Day, sharing our stories, experiences, and letting the Massachusetts State Legislature know why pro-immigrant legislation matters to us and why it needs to happen now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eva. I want to, our final speaker, mention something how we're growing in terms of our diversity. I know Speaker Mariano mentioned with the redistricting. We now have, I was the first New Zealand elected in 2020, but now we have 3. Our final speaker is Rita Mendes. Rita is a colleague of mine who's also a lawyer and everything. So Rita, come over.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this State House. It's just so amazing that we're here today, celebrating Immigrants Day. And it was so moving to hear all the stories here today.
And the reality is that although we're here like-minded people, we know that the critics out there just want to bring fear among us. And they want to sell the message that immigrants are a problem in this country, that immigrants are coming empty-handed, that they have nothing to offer, and that we shouldn't be invited them, which that could be further from the truth. But the reality is that I'm also an immigrant, that I came when I was 12 years old, and I felt that I was coming empty-handed. I felt I was coming with absolutely nothing to offer to this country, because when you come to a foreign country, you don't speak the language, you don't know anything, then you're scared. You don't know what's expecting you on the other side. and then you go to school and you meet all the people, and then you get engaged in that society. At 16, that's when a teenage girl needs her mother the most. That was when my mother had to return to Brazil. So I was left here all alone because I still believed in the American dream. I still believed I could finish high school, and I still believe I could be somebody. So even though I had to work at Dunkin' Donuts and still late nights and go to school the next day tired, and all of that story, the immigrant story, which repeats itself because my story is not unique to me. My story, it repeats itself every single day. We still have kids in Massachusetts that are working overnight in factories. They have to support themselves. They have to support their families. They're still trying to attend high school because they have that dream that one day they'll be able to attend college. One day they'll be able to be somebody. We still see that same story repeating every single day. But when immigrants come to this country, they don't come empty-handed. You know what they bring? They bring their gifts. They bring, their gifts of language, their gift of music, their gift of medicine, their gift of healing, their delicious food. We go across. Who doesn't have this delicious food and the restaurants and the diversity and all the amazing things that we have in this country? Because immigrants, they bring their best. And that is why the United States of America is the United States of America, is because we are all here doing our best for this country. Despite all odds in my life, I was able to, through my guidance council of mentors, amazing people in my life, to graduate from Brockton High, to attend a public university. So I went to Massasoit, UMass Dartmouth. I was able to graduate, went to law school, graduated, got my Juris Doctor degree, and then I knew I had to share my gifts, help my community. So I started volunteering my time as an immigration attorney at the New England Community Center, and there I started helping the unaccompanied minors, the abandoned kids, asylum seekers, navigate this convoluted, complicated immigration process and help them get a green card. The message I have for each and every one of you here today, the advocates, the ones that are here fighting, don't give up on your fight. Imagine if you had told yourself, oh, we've been fighting for over decades and the driver's license bill will never pass. Massachusetts can never pass. We should just give up. We wouldn't be here today listening to these amazing stories and celebrating that progress. So I know the fight is hard. No one said it was going to be easy, but we're used to being hard. It can't be easy because we need to come together as a whole, as a body, keep fighting, keep advocating, keep speaking up, keep showing up, keep calling your legislators, because we are going to get there. All the things we're fighting for, they will happen. We know it's going to come to fruition. And time it will come. So the more we come together, the more people we bring into this fight, then the better it will get, the sooner we're going to get there. And my commitment to you is that count on me, count on my support, count on my vote, because I'm here standing right beside you, right with you, because this is our battle for all of us. And I'm Rita Mendes. I get to represent the amazing city of Brockton, very diverse community, a city of immigrants, and we are just happy to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the State House, because this is your house.
Thank you, Rita. Representative Mendes, I should say. This concludes my on the program. I want to just invite now Jonathan, and I took a look, Mariano. I just want to thank you, everyone, and MIRA for the opportunity to MC today's event. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Email your rep, your senator, because your voice matters, as you heard from Rita Mendes. Thank you, Rita. Thank you.
Can we give another round of applause to our MC? Represent the House. So we're going to give you guys a quick introduction into what we're going to do today. We're going to do the work. We're going to do the people's work. We're going to visit all our legislators and make sure that they hear from us today. They hear our stories, they hear our needs, and they hear our passions. I'm going to pass it to my colleague here who will provide some instruction. But please don't leave. We have some important work to do. We're going to break out into regions, and we're so excited. I think there's over 250 people here, so we're packing the house.
That's awesome. You forgot to introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah, my name is Jonathan Paz, and I'm MIRA's new policy advocate. Holla.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. This makes me very happy and excited, so my words get even more confused. So I try to slow down and talk slow so then you all can follow me. So here what's going to do. Now is the fun part. I'm going to play around. Walk around, visit as many reps, legislators, I should say, I think it's the right word. We can do it. How are we going to do that? We're going to break into big groups. My friends are here holding up signs. You should look and find the area that you live and get together. Boston folks will be in that corner. Boston and Greater Boston. Central Mass here. I'm sorry, Boston there, north. Boston, Greater Boston, north. Central Mass, south. And Worcester area, region, at the registration desk. So if you live in one of those areas, go follow your leader. And then the leader will have the legislator stacks and maps, so then you guys can do the lobby. If you schedule a visit, hold on, just one more information. Yes. If you had a scheduling meeting, you should look for Jonathan right here and get your folder. And Jonathan will just give one more information.
So we're going to take a quick photo of everyone. We start moving. We have our good friend Farah there by the porch. If we can all just kind of crowd around here. Is that yeah?
Yeah. Different pose now, different smiles. 3, 2, 1.